We saw that they announced just the starters last night. The rest of the reserves will come out. Two things I really want to make note of here. First is Kobe Bryant, who's in the last year of his career. He was obviously voted a starter because it's fan voting. It doesn't come down to players, coaches, or anything like that. And frankly, even if it was, I would be hard pressed to see if the players and coaches wouldn't have voted him in. Now they're putting Bryant in as a forward because he was edging Stephen Curry in the votes. That's because Steph Curry has to be a starter. There's just no way around it, no two ways around it. This is a situation here where I believe it was Jeff Van Gundy talking about it. You just have the commissioner come out and give an exemption or something for a guy like Kobe Bryant. Now, Kobe's numbers, 16.3 PPG, which is points per game, isn't terrible. There are guys who will be all-stars with that number, with those numbers certainly, because again, it's fan voting, it's popularity, it's really nothing else. But he shouldn't be a starter. He should just be there to get a couple minutes and move on from there. Now, I should have started out with this. Frankly, I don't really care about the All-Star game. I don't think it's that important to be on the All-Star team because again, it's fan voting. Yao Ming used to always be an All-Star game starter because all the people in China were voting for him. It didn't give him a mark as the best center in the NBA because he wasn't at that time. You look in the East, Dwayne Wade is one of the starters for the Miami Heat. Wade's a good player, averaging 18 points per game, which is pretty good, especially at his age. But it's not indicative of anything. I look at the All NBA teams. I don't look at the All-Star games. This doesn't really mean anything to me. But also another thing was Isaiah Thomas on the Celtics was a little miffed, for lack of a better term, that he was not voted a starter. Now, I looked at Isaiah Thomas's numbers. Now, first, the starter for point guard in the East is Kyle Lowry of the Toronto Raptors, who's at 20.9 points per game, 5 rebounds, and 6.5 assists per game. So almost 21 points and almost 7 assists. When you look at Isaiah Thomas, he's at 21.7, 0.2 in the assist department. So he's playing a little better in that regard, in the points and the assists. However, he's only shooting 42% and 34% from behind the arc. When we look at Kyle Lowry and how he's shooting, bringing that up right now, Kyle Lowry is shooting actually worse than Isaiah Thomas. I'm a little surprised, but better from three-point land. Now, does Isaiah Thomas have a case? Looking at the two numbers, certainly you would consider it. However, again, this goes to fan voting. The game is being held in Toronto, so Kyle Lowry is getting the start. John Wall has not put together that good of a season. We're talking about just other point guards who may have taken the spot in the East. John Wall, that team is struggling this year. Goran Dragic on the Heat, not really doing much. So there's not really a lot of competition for point guard out there in the East. Most of the better point guards are in the West, the Mike Conleys, the Tony Parkers, the Russell Westbrooks, the Chris Pauls. You have Derrick Rose in the East, while having a comeback year, certainly nothing spectacular, nothing to write home about. Damian Lillard is also in the Western Conference, so that's where basically the class of the point guards are in the NBA. They're out West. So Kyle Lowry, again, it's a fan vote. That's why he's getting the start in this game, and it doesn't bother me. I don't even watch the All-Star game, and I love the NBA. It's my favorite sport. I watch the three-point contest. That's about it. So Isaiah Thomas, if he gets a reserve spot on the All-Star team, good for him. He probably will. You put it on your resume, this, that, and the other thing. But I would say to Isaiah Thomas, keep playing. Try to get this team, the Celtics team, to play more consistently and start winning some games and see if you can't get on an All-NBA team. I don't know if it'll happen. Again, it's much easier to make the All-Star team because it goes by conference. And again, we just discussed there's the class of the Western Conference when it comes to point guards as opposed to the East. When you're talking All-NBA teams, you only have 3 spots. It can be manipulated a bit because you're working with 2 guards, so you may be able to throw an extra guard in here and keep like a shooting guard out, where you can put a point guard in, or keep a point guard out where you put another shooting guard in. So that balances itself out because it can go either way. But That's the main award. That's what you really want. So that's what Isaiah Thomas needs to be striving for from here